Hey, how's it going, Forum? Great to have your company once again. Well, for those of you keeping up with their 9/11 research, you would have heard the name Kevin Bracken. That's right, he's the Maritime Workers Union. Now he's come forward talking on mainstream radio about 9/11. And for those of you who haven't seen it, check the link out in the description, talking to John Fain from Mainstream Media about the 9/11 cover-up.
Or the loony left.
Well, despite Mr. Bracken's comments being correct, and despite them being scientifically accurate, and despite them being spot on, the media had a field day. But it seems public support was on his side. Interestingly, even the Prime Minister caught a piece of the action, calling his comments stupid.
His question, obviously, I don't agree with the remarks. Obviously, they are stupid and wrong.
This is in the face of so many professionals, so many military professionals, so many journalists, so many medical professionals, lawyers, doctors, people from all walks of life, joining together for 9/11 Truth. And she calls all of these people stupid. She calls all their comments stupid. Here's my phone call to Kevin Bracken.
Hello?
Yes, very good evening. Is that Mr. Bracken?
It is.
Hi, this is Steve Johnson. I haven't caught you at a bad time, have I?
No, mate, you're all right.
Thanks very much for accepting the invitation for the interview.
No worries, mate.
I was just wondering, what kind of response have you had since the going to air with Mr. John Fain on the mainstream media?
Yeah, I've been flooded with messages of support from all over. I've had, I think, one or two people have said negative comments, but there's been hundreds, probably 1,000 or so people have emailed and given me full support for what I said and commended me for saying what I said, so I feel pretty good about it too.
Well, certainly amongst my own peers, you're seen as a legend. Certainly the first person of any kind to have brought this topic up in mainstream media. Do you think there's some kind of taboo topic that people and journalists are not allowed to talk about it? Do you believe that's the case?
For sure. I said that I made comments in 2006 about it, and it was reported in the Australian, but it was never got much life. And that was an anti-terrorist, law campaign against the anti-terrorism laws. And I think a comment I made at the time was that these are as bad as Hitler's laws. So, and called for another investigation then. So, yeah, it's been an issue. It's troubled me ever since it happened, whether we got the right story or not.
Are you aware that out of the 10,000 people who were surveyed on the Sydney Morning Herald poll, 76% of them supported your comments? That would indicate 24% of Australians are either asleep or just don't care.
Yeah, I think anyone who's looked into it, who's taken the trouble of looking into what happened, is well aware that it stinks to high heaven, the official story. So, there's just a science. We had Richard Gage came out in 2009 and gave us a presentation, and it's just the sheer science of it puts it beyond any doubt that those three buildings had to be imploded. But if you have a look, if you go back to the time when the attacks happened, like there was the anthrax scares going off all over the place, even in Melbourne.
That's right.
Powder scares in the government offices all over the place. I was actually applying for my passport for the first time. The share market trading, the insider trading that was done.
That's right, the Enron collapse.
Yeah. Well, Enron was behind it, but coincidentally, like Enron was being investigated in the Securities and Exchange Commission.
That's right, and they lost all the evidence in WTC 7.
Yeah, which was in World Trade Center 7. There was a timeline being put together within a week of it happening. From Mike Rupert, it was COP v CIA, and about all the troop movements which were pre-positioned before September 11.
Is that right?
Attacks in Afghanistan. I think that they had the British military had the largest assembly of troops since the Falklands War, assembled off the Kochi Yemen about just before September 11 happened.
Okay, they were ready and mobilized.
US Special Forces were attacking, or making manoeuvres in Uzbekistan and Tajikistan. And there's the Enron people who are the Taliban and carpet. If we can't get a pipeline through there,
you get a carpet of bombs instead of a carpet of gold, right?
Yeah, exactly. So.
Yeah, do you think John Fain was pretending or selling his corporate line about the phony 19 Arabs? Or do you think he's truly unaware? Do you think he's pretending for his corporate masters?
Well, I have listened to the tape a few times since. And in there he said he gets 2 of them a day. So if he's getting two calls a day on this, and that was his own words, obviously he's not letting that story out, Yeah. Well, I know that there was, I think it was stopped at about 570 comments to the Herald Sun.
Oh, yeah.
I've spoken to other people since who were given a number which is in excess of 1,000. So they didn't. They stopped publishing when they got to a 570.
Wow.
So look, and if you look at what the comments were, if you look at the comments, all the ones that supported me had 3 or 4 paragraphs, because they'd gone into what they were doing. The ones that didn't support me said union tape or just something stupid like that.
They all seem to do exactly the same thing that John Fane did and bring it back to Elvis and moon conspiracies and Little Green Men.
The sheer facts are that, spin doctors might be pretty good at spinning stories, but they can't change the laws of physics.
Do you think people aren't buying the bullshit anymore in the 21st century?
Yeah, I think people are sick of being lied to, just have a look what's happening with the banks, I mean, the whole financial is just a scam. It's a house of cards, and it's more of an act of faith believing in the financial system than what it is believing in creationism.
Do you see that in the people that you meet? Obviously, you're a representative for a few different unions. You must see a lot of common people. Do you see that in the people that you meet, that they're waking up in this day and age?
There's huge disillusionment with the political parties, especially the mainstream parties.
Wow.
So that's no doubt, and they are out of touch, I believe.
Do you think there's a void there for a third party, maybe a truth party?
Well, I don't think the two-party system's working in most of the developed countries because they have parties which aren't too dissimilar from each other.
That's exactly right.
And it leaves a very narrow scope, and I think since they went to economic rationalism in the 80s, or Reaganism or Thatcherism, they got rid of some principles which had been learned from the Depression and other things, where they had safeguards, put controls on the financial system. Those have since been taken away, and we've got unregulated capitalism, which is in the process of destroying itself, It's unsustainable. It isn't being done for development, in the best interest of the countries or anything.
That's right. Well, it seems to be the World Bank that's pulling the strings, and the WTO, the World Trade Organization, that forces the government to make these decisions. So we don't. They're not acting in our best interests anymore. They're acting in the bank's best interests.
Exactly.
And it's I think Australians in the past, that they've glossed over this. They've been distracted, by their infotainment, their infomedia. But pretty slowly but surely, they're switching off the Fairfax. They're switching off the Rupert Murdochs. They're switching off all the Kerry Packers, and they're starting to turn on to independent news. And it's starting to happen slowly but surely. 100th monkey syndrome. It's starting to sink in finally. Do you think Gillard's out of touch with the common person with her comments?
I believe that they're towing a line, which they have to do to get into power. Some things can't be questioned, The war on terror is one of them. We had the Prime Minister say our kids are going to be going over there for another 10 years. I'm yet to be told what we're actually doing over there, When I was listening to Australia Story a few months ago, on Sunday mornings, and they said they were trying to assimilate with the village people and stuff like that. And, he said they're planting their crops, and he said, what crops are they planting? He said they're planting opium. So what are our kids doing over there? Protecting villages. I mean, one thing about the Taliban is they actually nearly eradicated opium production. As soon as the coalition of the willing invaded it, they let the drug warlords out, and the places are washed with opium now.
Do you think it's possible that a lot of politicians have been compromised, that they've been put in situations where if they open their mouths, their careers are ruined?
Yeah, I believe there's some things that can't be questioned, otherwise they don't get a tick off for the job. So,
And media organizations are set to touch certain subjects and avoid certain other ones?
Yeah, for sure. Well, just from some journalists that I know, there's a point of view that they just can't put across because of the editorial. And the September 11 is a perfect example, event that's changed the way the world's viewed. It was, we've changed to preemptive wars now. We attack countries that are posing no danger to us.
And bring back Australia, right?
Well, countries get conquered by either standing armies or they can get conquered by debt,
By economics.
That's right. And, well, when they decide to ruin the country, they'll just attack your dollar. They'll shorten up the supply of money. There'll be all the hoo-ha about we have to take all these cutbacks, done it to country after country, and then they come in and buy up everything for a song.
It's been done before, and they're doing it again.
And it's only a matter of time when they come around and get around here.
That's it. Mr. Bracken, it's certainly a pleasure talking to you. I hope we can do this again.
Okay, thanks, Steve.
Thanks for your time. We hope to be talking a little bit more to Kevin Bracken very soon, right here on this channel. So stick with us, subscribe, add as favorites, and as always, God bless.